So, Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining this morning Bhagavatam reading. Let us offer our prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमावों विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादे पाश्चात्य देशतारिणी जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् शुश्रूषो श्रद्धदानस्य वासुदेव कथारुचि स्यान्महत्सेवया विप्रा पुण्यतीर्थनिषेवनात् शृण्वतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तना हृदयन्तस्थो ह्य भद्राणि विदुनोति सुहृसताम् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी तदा रजस्तमो भावा कामलोभादयश्च ये चेतयेतैरनाविद्धं सितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति एवं प्रसन्नमनसो भगवद्भक्तियोगता भगवत्तत्त्वविज्ञानं मुक्तसङ्गसजायते विद्यते हृदयाग्रन्थिश्चिद्यन्ते सर्वसंशया क्रियन्ते शास्य कर्माणि दृष्ट एवात्मनीश्वरे. Thank you for joining once again this morning Bhagavatam reading with all your kind prayers and blessings of Sri Radha Shyam Sundar, Radha Madhav and Gaurang Mahaprabhu. So, and Srila Prabhupada, we will read this verse 3735 today from this great literature called Srimad Bhagavatam. I will say the uh, येनवान् भगवांस्तुष्येत् धर्मयो निर्जनार्दना सम्प्रसिद्धाति वये वायेषाम् एताद् आख्याहि मे अनघा येन वा भगवंस्तुष्ये धर्मयो निर्जनार्दना सम्प्रसिद्धति वायेषाम् एतद् आख्याहि मे अनघा. Word meanings. Ena, by which. Va, either. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Tushyet, is satisfied. Dharma Yonihi, the father of all religion. Janardhana, the controller of all living beings. So, some prasidati, completely satisfied. Va, either. or Esam, either or, Esam of those, Etat, all these, Akyahi, kindly describe, me unto me, Anaga, O sinless one. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O sinless one, because the personality of Godhead, the controller of all living entities, is the father of all religion and all those who are candidates for religious activities, kindly describe how he can be completely satisfied. Purport: all religious activities are meant ultimately to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord is the father of all religious principles. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 7:16, four kinds of pious men, the needy, the distressed, the enlightened, and the inquisitive, approach the Lord in devotional service, and their devotion is mixed with the material affection. But above them are the pure devotees, whose devotion is not tainted by any material tinges of fruitive work or speculative knowledge. Those who are only miscreants throughout their lives are compared to demons. Bhagavad Gita 7:50. They are bereft of all knowledge, in spite of any academic educational career they may pursue. Such miscreants are never candidates for satisfying the Lord. So, actually, this is a small verse. So, what we will do, thinking we will quickly go through the whole chapter in quick way. I was thinking it will be good for me also. So, I was, and this verse text. Yeah. So here I was just reading the all chapters of this third canto. If we see all the chapters, actually the first one starts by questions by Vidura. Here he was asking to Uddhava. Then again, Vidura approaches to Maitreya, and then again Maitreya, Vidura is talking to Maitreya. I mean, we'll ask a lot of questions, and then the universal form is briefly described, and then again he is asking more questions. So I mean, a lot of them are started with the questions, right? So by Vidura. So then actually this chapter starts with, I mean, first initially was asking about Ishvara and then the Jiva, right? So how Ishvara, who is spiritual and transcendental, connected to the these three modes of material nature, right? So I mean, connected to this world. I mean, if it is not exactly like a children, because he says in one of the verses, children have desire to play, but there is no possibility of such desire for the Lord because he is self-satisfied. One second. Yeah, because he is yeah, so children have desires to play, but then that's why they are playing and creating and destroying. But why the Lord is creating and destroying, right? So he's self-satisfied. So there is no possibility of having him desires, but he's still doing it, right? And also when if he is performing pastimes, then how is he doing that within this world, which is controlled by the three modes of material nature? Then the next question he will ask about the jiva. So Jiva, which is so pure, and how does it gets entangled in this material world and gets into trouble, right? So I mean, gets into the miseries and misfortune, and so and so forth. And also, the super soul is situated within the heart. Lord is always with him, with the soul. Still, he is going through the challenges, right? So it is very, very kind of, uh, I mean, difficult to understand. So then, actually, then those are the two questions. I mean, primarily about Ishvara and Jiva. Does Vidura will ask to Maitreya Muni. So Maitreya Muni actually he says he was agitated by the inquisitive Vidura. So first he astonished, then he immediately responded because he's fully in God consciousness. Actually, first the Ishvara's question. So he was kind of I mean, he says it is illogical, right? I mean, in the ninth verse, he says it's very illogical because in one way, people say that he is the controller and he is the this. So the personality is overcome by illusion or maya. That is how, I mean, that means he is coming under these three modes of material nature, and at the same time, they say that he is unconditioned, right? So it is illogical. So he actually disproves that question itself. I mean, the question itself is, I mean, because it's not logical thing, because he is the supreme lord, he is not going to come under these three modes of material nature. And then he doesn't say much about that thing, and then he gets into the living entity. So living entity, I mean, because of misidentification with the body, which he is not. So that's how he gets into this trouble, right? So then he gives two analogies here. So one is actually uh, I mean, it says actually there's no factual background to it, right? So it's very, I mean, astonishing. I mean, for a person who doesn't understand I mean, the concept of the spirit, soul, and all, because we are seeing this and we are experiencing this, but actually, he says that there is no factual background to, but then the living entity is suffering. So, because then he gives these two analogies: a man who dreams that he sees his head is cut off. How can a person see when his head is cut off, right? So I mean, there is no way that we will be able to see. And also the second analogy he gives is a moon is reflected on the water appears to the seer to tremble due to associate with the quality of the water. I mean, based on how much we are associated or how much water is moving, and we will be seeing that much trembling of that moon in that reflection. But actually the moon itself is not doing any kind of movements, right? So the self is associated with the matter appears to be qualified as matter. So these are the two analogies he gives that to uh, give some basis for the how the living entity uh, relates itself to the material body, right? I mean, material body and the material world. So then these are the then what is the solution? So he talks about in the verse 12. So verse 12 he says, by the misconception of the self identity can be diminished gradually by the mercy of the personality of Godhead Vasudeva. How that mercy comes? Through the process of devotional service in the mode of detachment. So then he so now actually before that yeah, so that's how he says. Then but when the senses are satisfied in the seer of the super soul, he gives little bit more details about how this one will be able to engage in the devotional service. So then he says that these miseries will be vanquished simply by the chanting and hearing of the supreme person glories of the supreme personality of God in the verse 14. So then that is how, I mean, one will be able to end the miseries to this whole material world, right? Then the Vidra, I mean, after Maitreya gives those kind of those answers, and Vidra says, okay, all my doubts have been completely cleared out. So my mind is now perfectly and entered in. Then he appreciates little bit Maitreya Muni questions, saying Maitreya Muni answers, saying that these answers are very nice. So. Then yeah, these answers are very nice, as they should be, right? Then he talks about how people in this world, but the lowest of the fools is who transcendental to all intelligence, and who are the kind of people who will be in happiness, right? Somebody who doesn't have any understanding are completely foolish, and somebody is completely transcendental, right? They are the ones who are happy in this world. So, and the people who are in between, right? So they suffer, right? Because it is like I mean, because the one person is completely in ignorance, right? So that he doesn't know that he is suffering. I mean, he is suffering, but he doesn't know that he is suffering. He shows that he is happy, right? I mean, the person, like when somebody is preparing for an exam, right? So very well. So when he is not worried when somebody is not all prepared, so he is also not worried because he knows that he is going to fail, or I mean, right? So but the person who prepared little bit, and they are the one who gets little bit worried. Oh, what happens? Okay, will I get the questions I prepared or not? Right? So I mean, the persons who are in between, right? They get worried because the other person anyway they know that they are going to fail, right? So I mean, the person who is in ignorance completely, they may not know that they are suffering, but they don't know that they are suffering. That is the problem. Then actually he gives these realizations. Then who gets this devotional service, right? So because the devotional service is the key to come out of that misidentification. So he gives who are the ones, I mean, based on his realization. So how to get the devotional service, right? In 18 he says, my dear sir, I am obliged to you because now I can understand that this material manifestation is without substance, right? Although it appears real, I am confident that by serving your feet, it will be possible for me to give up the false idea because he is his spiritual master. So he's saying that by serving you, I will be able to be free from this misidentification of this material world or material manifestation or the bodily conception. And that way, one will be able to get the devotional service and one will be able to get the mercy of the Lord. So one will be able to perform devotional service and get the mercy of the Lord, and then will be free from those miseries. So then he gives a general statement. By serving the feet of the spiritual master, one is enabled to develop transcendental ecstasy in the service of the personality of Godhead, who is unchangeable enemy of Madhu demon, and whose service vanquishes one's material distress. These are the two things one gets by the serving the spiritual master. And unallowed devotional service to Supreme Lord, and then the by doing that, and one will be free from the material distress, like the Maitreya Muni was telling in the earlier question. So then I mean, what are the kind of people who doesn't get a devotional service? I mean, they are not at all austere. I mean, very meager, can hardly obtain the devotional service to the pure devotees, right? And then then he goes back to the earlier chapters, right? The universal forms. After asking these things, so he talks about the fifth chapter and sixth chapter. Fifth chapter he was asking, sixth chapter he was talking about the universal creation and all. Then he gives about those things, right? I mean, how the creation happens, right? So then in the next 16 verses, from 23 to 38, right? So Vidra will ask so many questions. Actually, I mean, I was reading from Gurujan Prabhu's book. He talks about saying that Vidra is asking almost 40 questions, right? So actually, a lot of these questions, it's they're like first up, we have asked a big question, and again they will ask one more question within that. Again, you will ask one more question within that. He doesn't just ask one, okay, tell me about this thing, and then the first question you see how does he ask? So I mean, he doesn't stop there. So he says, "Have you have told me about the gigantic Virata form in his senses, his sense objects, and 10 kinds of life air exist within the 3 kinds of his figure. Now, if you will kindly explain to me different powers of specific divisions." And then he talks about within that the process of manifestation, forms of sons, grandsons, family members has spread all the universe. I mean, the Prajapatis, right? So he will ask various questions, very detailed. And also, actually, he says that if I did not ask anything in this relation, please explain that as well, right? So if we read this 35 verse again, so you will ask, I mean, I don't want to read all these questions. So here he says, so I mean, primarily this verse, so sinless one, because the personality of God, they had the controller of all living entities, the father of all religion, and all those who are candidates for religious activities, kindly describe how can he be satisfied, right? So he is the one who is the father of everything. He is the creator, and he is everything, right? So but then how can he be completely satisfied, right? So then actually here I just want to read one small paragraph of summary of what Gurujan Prabhu is giving for this section. In the 16 text 23 to 38, Vidra asks Maitreya approximately 40 questions, one nested inside another, and begs the Muni to answer them along with the any pertinent questions he has somehow neglected to ask. Maitreya's responses, which scrutinize the creation, its organization, and the lineages of procreators, the creation's inhabitants, and their activities, time, and the Lord's incarnations, will take us to the end of the fourth canto. Actually, I mean, I was kind of surprised. I mean, even in the earlier sections of Bhagavatam as well, right? There are, I mean, many questions the student asks the spiritual master. So, I mean, it's not that you will ask one question and then, I mean, you will wait for the answer and then you will ask. I mean, from the beginning, even six, I mean, the first canto itself, I mean, the sages of Naimisharanya will ask six questions. I mean, they will not, then the Sota Goswami answers all of them. So, actually, even the Parikshit Maharaj asked so many questions, right? And even yeah, even the here, yeah, actually, these questions are almost similar to what Parikshit Maharaj was asking in the Canto 2 of the chapter 8, right? I think chapter 8, if I remember. So, I mean, these are the so many questions he was asking. Prabhupada was actually in the purport, he was talking about four kinds of people who surrender to the Lord or who comes to the Lord. He talks about these candidates for the religious activities, right? So, I mean, who are the people who doesn't come to the Lord? So, namam dushkrito modo prapadyante naradama maya paurata gnana ashrim bhava mastad. Those are the four kinds of people: the modas, who are completely foolish, and naradamas, the lowest of mankind, maya paurata gnana, I mean, those knowledge is stolen by illusion, and ashuras, right? So those are the four kinds of people, though they don't come to the Supreme Lord. There, in spite of their academic, educational career, they may pursue. Such miscreants are never candidates of the satisfying the Supreme Lord. So they will never be able to satisfy the Supreme Lord. And those are the four kinds of people. The other four kinds are in the next verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Chaturvidha majantema jana sukritano arjuna artho jignashurarthati jnanisha bharta shiva. The artha, the distressed, artha, the I mean the one who desires the wealth, material gain, and the third one is the jignashu, the inquisitive, and gnani, one who knows the things as they are. They are who are the one who are searching after some knowledge, right? I mean the searching after the knowledge or the perfection, what is actually how it is, right? As is. So somebody, I mean, somebody like that, I mean, those are the four kinds of people who come to the Supreme Lord. They're all very magnanimous, Krishna says in the next verse, but the gnani is very dear to him because he doesn't have any other kind of material motives. So those are the kinds of people who can satisfy the Lord. But actually Prabhupada says here, uh, um, above all of them, right? Where is that? But above them are pure devotees whose devotion is not tainted by any material tinges of fruitive work or speculative knowledge. So these are the kinds of people, I mean, who will be able to satisfy the Supreme Lord. I mean, the Supreme Lord doesn't need anything very exceptional, right? Because everything belongs to him. But then how anybody, right, with this kind of love, I mean, if somebody offers, I mean, actually Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam, right? So I mean, any simple leaf or water, right, if one offers to the Supreme Lord, is it is satisfied. So I mean, he doesn't need anything else, right? What I mean, because everything belongs to him and he has everything. So all he is looking for us from us is that kind of pinch of bhakti, right? If somebody has that, completely offering oneself to the Supreme Lord with complete devotional service. So I mean, of course, Prabhupada is giving the kind of answer here, how that one will be completely satisfied, right, in the purport. So actually the verse itself is only the question. So I think that's all I have, devotees, for today. If you have any things to share, uh, please share. We have only four of us.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare
That
Krishna.
example of a student that is unprepared and the student that's totally prepared was very nice. You know, I've heard from His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj talks about, you know, neither being, you should not be warm, you should be either hot or cold. Apparently, I think, if I'm not misquoting him, it's like a Christian saying also. So, yeah, I mean, thinking about it is true. Like, it's like, you know, I was also thinking, we hear Jagdananda Pandit saying 2 feet on 2 boats, we'll fall in the middle of the river. So, I think we are all in this threshold phase. Like Maharaj uses the liminal space, the term, where we are going from one space to another. I find myself in that liminal space many times where it is very uncomfortable, but it's a necessary step to go to the other side. Now, I'm probably going into a different area, but I could very much relate to that analogy you shared. Thank you.
yeah, we don't want to completely not prepared. I mean, we should be start preparing and let us. I mean, we can get continues to worry a little bit, but that is better than not completely prepared. I mean, we want to other side. So, I mean, exams, when we want to write exams, we don't want to completely unprepared. We want to prepare. I mean, we may not be able to completely prepare it initially, but it is better to do that. But at least preparation is better. I mean, worry is okay. Think if that's what you're thinking, Mataji, so it's nice because that's how we'll be able to one day pass that exam, right? So we may fail sometimes, but yeah, we'll pass one day for sure. If we are not prepared, we'll be here only. We'll never pass. So,
True, true. Yeah. So I think I suppose at some point in time we will be in that in-between phase
yes,
so that
Mataji.
we can go to the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji. Anything else? Govinda Moini Mataji, Vrindavan Prabhu. Thank you for joining. So on Sunday generally will be one or two. Last week it was only one. I think Gopal Prabhu and myself were there. Srivalla Prabhu's class. Yes,
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
yes.
Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada.
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu, for the class. One thing, as you were describing, I've been contemplating about this, how, there was this questions, like how inquisitive the sages or Maharaj Parikshit, how inquisitive they are, where there's like questions and then, there's more questions. There's question inside the questions, like you said.
Mm.
So, that seems to be, I feel like this inquisitiveness that was there initially, sometimes it's not so prominent or it's not so alive anymore. So I've been just thinking like, how does one become more inquisitive, or how does one keep that enthusiasm to ask questions? Because, I find myself like, kind of like this in between phase, as we're talking about it, where, um, I feel like the knowledge is too vast and it's too deep. Um, so I don't even want to, I don't even want to dive into it because I might just drown. So I just, but at the same time, like we're asked or we're told to be inquisitive. So anyway, I was just wondering if you want to share something along
Yeah.
those lines, how to keep that
From my experience,
inquisitiveness.
Mataji, I mean, I don't know the answer, but I mean, my experience, I mean, there are different individuals have different kind of natures, right? Some devotees doesn't ask, right? Maybe they're shy or they're little different. Okay, so that is the nature. But the other one, I mean, for example, in my case, if I hear uh, in the class to understand the message, not I mean with the oh, and I know this subject matter, right? Then I will not be able to ask any question for sure, right? So, but if I mean I'm sure when I'm attending the class with the intention that okay, I want to I mean what is the deeper meaning, or if I want to ask a question, maybe generally when I hear the class, I mean, there is a lot of things I will be able to connect to the class if Maharaj or somebody gives, right, to that, and then I will be able to link the subject matters, and it will be churning in my at least mind, right? So what is happening in the class? So then I
Hmm.
will be able to, for sure, I will get ton of questions because we are of course there are a lot of things that I mean one person may not be able to understand, right? One may not understand everything. So
Yeah.
there will be, because especially there are a lot of kind of seemingly contradictory subject matters that are given in scriptures, right? But and also I mean to make one's progress, right? I mean if one is having that intention, I mean you're talking about, yeah, I may drown. So I mean again, to going back to that point, I was thinking because we are not asking something that will make us drown in the wrong sense, right? So, so it is something which is a right thing. So I mean, I think, and also actually I was uh, I mean, multiple things are going on. Yeah, one thing is actually we should, I mean, with the intention that, okay, I want to understand the subject matter and how it is going to be beneficial. I mean, I know you will ask a lot of questions. So every time when Maharaj gives, I mean, very nice questions that you ask, but I'm just telling about myself, right? But if I go with that intention that I should ask, I should try to understand the subject and how it will be helpful for me. And I mean, even from philosophical perspective also, it will help a lot of times, right? Because a lot of doubts that are there within our mind, right, that will distract us from the making us progress in the spiritual path, right? We need to get clear those philosophical questions as well. But if we try to understand those things, and I mean, if with the intention that, okay, let me ask a question, right? So then it'll be good for me. And also, actually, a lot of times when I ask the question, the subject matter gets cleared. I didn't really ask the question to get that subject matter clear to me, but I get the answer to make me more clarity on the subject what the speaker was speaking, right? So it gives a lot of times, actually, even other devotees when they ask or when I ask, especially I mean, when everybody, each of us ask question, it will be a lot of helpful for us, right? Individually also than everyone else, because I mean, of course, the speaker is inspired to speak, right, to us as well. So, and also, actually, the philosophical questions, I mean, doubts that one may have, a lot of times, actually, especially Maharaj, when he was giving class, every time I was asking question during COVID time. After that, I mean, yeah, not so frequent, but yeah. So uh, and other thing, actually, Mataji, was yesterday, I think day before yesterday, Sri Kishore was talking about, right? I mean, how many questions I asked. So, I mean, but what is that? How I'm making that progress in in spiritual life? Accordingly, the answers I got. Because if we see Arjuna and if we see Vidura here, he was saying that all my doubts are cleared. But of course, he has more questions. That is to churn the subject matter. But then, because I don't take that relationship so seriously, right, with the person with whom I'm asking the question. So especially one's guru, I mean, one should be sure to ask questions, because that is one of the criteria, right? That with the pranipatena sevaya. So one should ask question, because there is a relationship there, and if one is putting that relationship into real practice, and those answers will be really helpful, right? So because the guru is not speaking just to answer that question, but it is actually a more message or more meaning is coming to the disciple. Right, I think one should ask questions. I mean, yeah, with the intention, if one is hearing the class, to ask questions. I mean, how it will improve my spiritual life. I think one will get for sure questions. One may be shy sometimes, but it's okay. I think, yeah, that is not uh, wrong. But still, one will continues to ask questions. Actually, it is a sign of intelligence also, right? So, I mean, that's what we hear from questions. A lot of times, if you see some senior devotees will ask very basic questions, right? It looks like, but it's very nice, actually. Uh, I mean, very nice to churn the subject matter, right? So, because here also, Vidura is asking some of the questions. I mean, we know it answers theoretically, right? I mean, of course, Vidura at his stage, he would have known all the answers to most of these questions, right? So, but he was asking, of course, for all our benefit. But of course, it's not just for our benefit only. I mean, to churn the subject matter, and he was getting ecstasy out of it as well. So, thank you, Mataji. I don't know if I answered. I went all over, but I was.
That's helpful, Prabhu. And also, like you said, like, when we ask questions, I know I definitely notice that sometimes when others ask the question, like I would be having that question, but wouldn't know how to put it in words. So when we ask, actually, not only ourselves, but others also get benefited.
Yeah.
Because I know for sure that I get benefited by other people's questions.
Yeah.
So
Actually, Maharaj was asking once I asked, should I ask? I mean, if I think that, okay, I should ask a question or not ask this, it may be very silly question. He said, you can ask anyway, right? I mean, of course, it's so silly, we don't want to ask. But yeah, I mean, if it is, I mean, of course, generally we don't get, but yeah, I'm just saying, if it is, if the person is there in front of us, right? And if there is a question is there, okay, I mean, if something is coming or bothering us, I mean, you can ask that. I mean, if it is silly question, we will dismiss anyway, right? We don't need to worry about it.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Please accept my humble obeisances. All
Please
glories
accept
to
humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada.
wonderful class. You did a wonderful job summarizing all the other, chapters in the canto. My question is more like, we keep saying the Lord is self-satisfied. He doesn't need to do anything. But we also hear that whenever the devotee is lost, the Lord has feelings towards the devotee. That's why he comes to the material planet to bring them back. If the Lord is so fully satisfied, why does he even indulge in this act where he's going to come and collect the devotees and lead them back? So that's my question, Prabhuji.
Out of love, Prabhu. I mean, you hear that Akbar story, right? I mean, that's coming. I don't know. To me, Akbar. He can send somebody else, right? So is that what you're saying? I mean, why he has to come and to pick the devotees? Because he loves them, he cares for them, and he want. I mean, of course, all of us, right? So not just the devotees. He loves everybody, right? So every living entity. That's why he comes and gives the message, right? He sends his representatives, right, now and then. So I mean, because people are forgetting it, so because he wanted to, based on the time, place, and circumstances, he comes or he sends his own representatives to reawaken those conditioned souls, all of us, right? We are all sons of, we are all, he loves us, right? So we all belong to him. So he wanted to recover all of us from this material world. So he is satisfied, but he loves all of us as well, right? So he doesn't want him only have satisfaction. He want to give it to all of us also, right? So and then also, of course, why he himself comes, not send somebody else, right? I think there was a topic, right? Akbar and Birbal story, right? Akbar was saying, oh, why your Lord comes every time, takes different forms, right? So why can't he send somebody else if he's so powerful? So because then he sends his there is a he will ask one of his sevaks to throw a doll which is almost similar to his own Akbar's son in the pool, and then immediately Akbar jumps into the water and tries to save that. He doesn't ask his servants to go and take the doll, right? I mean, he doesn't know that he's the doll. It is, of course, he thinks it is his son, right? So he gets so angry and then he jumps and then tries to save it. So instead of asking somebody else to jump into the pool and to save the baby, right? So that's how the Lord also, because he has that love to him, so instead of sending somebody else, he jumps directly sometimes, right? But the Lord sometimes sends his own representatives and sometimes comes himself. So he's kind of self-satisfied, but he wanted to I don't know if I understood the question, Prabhu. So if he is self-satisfied, but yeah, he wanted to us also not having this kind of problem life, right? He wanted us to also get free from those miseries. So I mean, in the sense that he is satisfied, but at the same time actually he says that he is not happy because when the living entity is suffering in this world, right? So that doesn't, it's not that his satisfaction, there's something is lacking within him. Oh, yeah, 99.999% is feel happy, and then okay, 0.0001% is not happy. When we are becoming devotees, he will be happy. It's not like that, right? I mean, he is always 100% happy. When we become devotee, and he will be more happy, right? That happiness is, there is no bounds, right? So, his satisfaction. That's what my.
Prabhuji, yeah, Prabhuji, but
I know you know it answer, but I was just trying to.
no, I don't know the answer. And it's okay. We can go back and ask Maharaj. What I'm thinking is, he is satisfied. First thing, so he doesn't need to do anything.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, he's detached. So if he's detached, why does he care for the devotees? He's 100% detached. Then why does he care for the relationships? Why does he care for the devotees? So does his detachment mean, when we say satisfaction and detachment, does it only mean the material, he doesn't care about material things and he's detached from material things, whereas relationships are transcendental and the souls are transcendental. That's why he wants them back. So that is the thing, Prabhuji. Maybe, I don't know. I'm speculating right now.
Yeah,
Just after all, yeah.
detached means he is not affected from Bhagavad Gita, right? So he is not affected. He is within it, I mean, he is within this. His creation is there in each and every atom. When he says detached, he is not going to what do you call? He is not affected by it, right? So he is not affected by it.
Mm.
So he is the creator, and he is everything,
So,
but he is not affected by it. See, when something that comes to us, and if it is gone, right? We'll get affection. I mean, we'll get affected, but the Lord is not getting affected. So I mean, I
mhm.
mean, there are, I don't know if I'm going there. Yeah, I mean, when we see, but there are feelings, right? So the Lord also has a feelings. So, but then that is not it is not the kind of when we say what you are saying, right? So when somebody is detached, I mean, I don't care. That is a carelessness, right? So, I mean, but he's not like that, right? Then we will say, oh, Lord is careless, but it's not how it is, right? So the Lord is detached. He is not affected by this whatever is happening, right? The creation, destruction, and all those phenomena. Maybe others want to add anything.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Please accept humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. I just wanted to pitch in. The way I understood that topic was, it's to do with the different features of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the neutrality, equality, and self-satisfaction. I think, if I remember, it is more feature of a Paramatma feature. And personal feature is feelings, affection, loving. That's features of the person.
Yeah.
So Lord is and detachment probably is impersonal feature, like Brahman feature. So Lord has all the qualities in different features. Probably, maybe that's the how to understand. I don't know.
Hmm.
Okay, probably. Yeah, makes sense. So, yeah, Prabhuji. No.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you for
basically
the
like
Vrindavan, Prabhuji.
yeah, like a Paramatma position is like more of an officer, judge, right?
Mm.
So he's neutral to everyone. Whoever follows the rules, he awards. Whoever doesn't follows the rules, he punishes. So the material karma cycle or whatever rules and regulations, it will automatically be taken care by the effects of power of the Paramatma feature. So that way he is detached, and also he is self-satisfied. He's not like looking for something outside, right? But
Yeah.
as a person, he is like for him, everyone is children. I think Prabhupada also quotes this example somewhere, like a judge at the office and judge in the house.
Yeah.
So totally different way he responds to the situations.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, Prabhuji. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. No, thank you, Vrindavan Prabhuji, and thank you, Lingaraja Prabhuji. Sorry.
Thank you, devotees. Then we will end for today. We'll see tomorrow.
Thank you.
Panchakalpatarubhyasya कृपा सिंधुभ्यो च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। Srimad Bhagavatam की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।